I've been a tattoo artist for the last 19 years of my life. I started when I was 17 years old, primarily self-educated with tattooing. A lot of people go through apprenticeships, which we'll get into in a little while, but I was pretty much self-educated. I started tattooing, kind of not knowing what I was doing. Back then, 19 years ago, tattooing was still kind of, you know, on the up. You know, a lot of the technology and advancements weren't really there yet. I was in Columbus for about a year, and then I ended up moving around and traveling around the country to learn, to work in different studios, to work at a lot of different tattoo conventions, which are really big right now. This is a shader machine and a liner machine. They're pretty similar. The liner machine hits a little faster. That way you can line with it, move along. The shading is a little bit more of a layered process, so it hits the skin a little bit softer. These are the tubes right here. I'm going to open them up. These are the autoclave bags. You want to make sure if you go to get a tattoo that the artist sets everything up in front of you, has brand new sterile equipment. These actually hold the tattoo needles in place, and it also gives the artist what they need to grip, you know, to actually hold the machine. These are the prepackaged sterilized needles. All needles nowadays are single service only. If you see somebody reuse a needle, run. Give you guys a brief history of tattooing. Tattooing's been around, I mean, since the beginning of time almost. It's one of the oldest art forms next to cave drawings and things like that. It's always been a way for people to identify themselves, either tribes, you know, or just individually. Back in 3300 BC, there was Otzi the Iceman. Has anybody heard of Otzi the Iceman?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they discovered him. He had different, you know, simplistic tattoos. Behind his knees, he had just basic lines, and they thought that a lot of that was medicinal, acupuncture, arthritic type relief that they were doing back then. So tattooing is one of the oldest art forms. It's you know, stuck around for forever essentially, and it just keeps growing more and more as the art form expands too. Because nowadays anything can be done. You're not doing simple lines. You're doing portraits, realism. You know, pretty much anything that the client wants, you should be able to handle. You should be versatile, and that's where practicing outside of the skin comes in handy. Japanese tattooing, actually, that's one of the oldest forms of tattooing that kind of influenced modern day Americana tattooing. As far as the bowl lines, the traditional tattooing all stems back to Japanese tattooing. So we got tribal. Everybody's seen tribal tattooing. It's real graphic, it's modern, primitive, really bold and in your face. We have traditional tattooing, which a lot of the sailors and bikers you saw back in the day kind of wore that style, like a lot of the hearts, the daggers, things like that. Inks nowadays, back in the day, they only had basic primary colors. It wasn't researched a lot like it is nowadays. So nowadays, any colors are possible, you know, teals, pretty much any color, and then you can make colors based off of all those. So there's no limitations on the colors of tattoos nowadays. Samuel O'Reilly in 1893 invented the tattoo machine, so it's been around forever. It's originally an engraving device, which is essentially what it still does, and it's all based off of the doorbell. Believe it or not, Thomas Edison invented the doorbell, and this used the exact same principles as of a doorbell. Cycle breaks. When this pulls down, it breaks the magnetic cycle, and it goes back up, magnetizes, and kind of continues that like a doorbell where you go ding. The same thing with the machine. And you take the stencil, you apply it to the skin. It kind of stucks to the skin. This will be here for 2 years. So basically what it does is it adheres to the skin like that. You guys will see it. And the artist will peel it off, and it leaves just the outline. And then from there,
do it.
Yeah. Now we're going to tattoo her. So from there, what we'll do is we set the machine gun step over here. I'm not going to tattoo you, obviously. So then you start by lining. So what I would do is I would take the machine. She'd obviously be sitting down. You would start with the liner. You know, you basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be tracing over the line. Didn't hurt. So we would do the entire outline. Didn't hurt at all, did it?
No.
And then we would switch over to the shader machine and basically do all the color and fill. The next part after that you're all good. Let me give you your care instructions. Now typically too, before I would tattoo anybody, I have them sign a release form. First of all, this is important too, just the legalities of it, what you're doing. It's not normal what we do to somebody, you know, unfortunately. But so you do have to make sure that you cover yourself. It also covers the client too, and lets them know that they are getting tattooed safely and sterile. You guarantee all your work and things like that. And then when you're done, you give them their care instructions. There you go. If it's bleeding, let me know. But yeah, basically to take care of a new tattoo as well, is you want to just make sure you keep it clean. You know, keep it clean. We recommend that you put a little bit of like a Curel or a Lubriderm, like just a little bit of lotion on there. A lot of people say to keep Neosporin and things like that on there while you're healing, but you really don't need that unless you see a little bit of redness where you have what we call a mild infection. You just put it on there. But it's really easy. It's very minor damage to skin. So yeah, bottom line, be smart, be safe. If you're gonna get a tattoo, and if you want to be a tattoo artist, saturate yourself into it, make it your life.
About a big round of applause for him.